Today, I want to share a story with you, a very, very old story. It's called The Boy Who Was a Mother. Sounds a little strange, doesn't it? Well, it's a story about a powerful kingdom, some boys who thought they were being funny, and a secret that, well, it changed absolutely everything. Let's dive in. So let me ask you something. Do you think a joke, just a simple prank, could actually destroy an entire kingdom? I mean, really think about it. Bringing down giant castles and powerful kings just because of a little joke, it sounds totally impossible, doesn't it? Well, let's find out. Okay, so let's set the scene. We're talking about a perfect kingdom, but one with a big secret. This story starts in this amazing place, the home of the Yadu family. And they had the great Lord Krishna himself as their protector. Imagine that. Their cities were gorgeous, the people were always smiling, and their armies, whoa, nobody could beat them. It looked totally perfect from the outside. But even in this perfect place, Lord Krishna had a worry. And this is what's so interesting. After he had brought peace to the entire world, he looked at his own family, the very people he loved and kept safe, and deep down, he just felt that something wasn't right. You know that feeling when things look okay, but you just know something is off? This was his secret thought. He realized his family, the Yadu dynasty, had grown so powerful, so strong, that they were becoming, well, a burden, like a weight that was too heavy for the world to carry. And since no one else could possibly defeat them, he knew the problem was on the inside. Their pride was getting in the way, and they were forgetting what was truly important. So Krishna made this really tough, kind of mysterious choice. He knew that for his family to learn what they needed to learn, their story had to, well, it had to come to an end. But no outside army could do it. The change had to come from the inside. He compared it to a fire in a bamboo forest. You see, bamboo grows so close and tight together that if a fire starts inside, it just burns itself out from within. That's what he knew needed to happen. All right, Section 2, a prank on holy men. And this right here is where everything changes. It all starts with a bunch of boys from the Yadu family, boys who were feeling a little too playful and were about to make a huge, huge mistake. So nearby, there was this incredible gathering of great sages. These are like super wise holy men. We're talking about famous names like Vishvamitra, the powerful Durvasa, and Narada, plus a whole bunch of others. These weren't just any regular folks. People from all over knew about their wisdom and kindness. They were deeply, deeply respected. But when the Yada boys saw these great men, did they feel respect? Nope. They just saw a chance to be mischievous, so they hatched a plan. First, they decided they were going to play a trick. Next, they grabbed their friend, a boy named Samba, and dressed him up to look like a pregnant woman. Then, and this is the sneaky part, they bowed down and acted all humble, as if they were showing great respect. And finally, they asked their disrespectful, tricky question. They walked up and said something like this. "Oh, wise men, this shy woman here is about to have a baby. Could you use your great wisdom to tell us, will it be a boy or a girl?" See, that was their big joke. They were totally making fun of the sages, testing them. They thought they were so clever, but what they were really doing was being incredibly disrespectful. And this leads us to the curse of the club. The boys were probably snickering, trying not to laugh out loud while they waited for an answer. But the sages weren't fooled for a second. The whole feeling in the air just changed. All of a sudden, their fun little prank was about to get very, very serious. Yeah, the sages, they were filled with anger. They saw right through the costume, right through the fake humble act. They saw the disrespect behind those smirks and silly bows. And their hearts, which were almost always calm and peaceful, just filled with a righteous, burning anger. And one of them spoke, his voice booming. He said, "Oh, fools, she will give birth to a club which will destroy your entire dynasty." Whoa, not an answer to their question, was it? It was a curse, a terrible, powerful curse. He said this woman wouldn't have a baby boy or a baby girl. No, she would give birth to an iron club, and that club would destroy their whole family. And just like that, they were terrified. I mean, can you imagine One second you're laughing, playing a joke, and the next second, boom, all the fun just vanished. Replaced by this cold, heavy, awful feeling in your stomach, that feeling when you know you've gone way, way too far. They were completely and utterly terrified. So, in a total panic, they had to see. Was it real? Was the curse really happening? They scrambled over to their friend Samba, and with shaking hands, they quickly lifted up the dress he was wearing to see what was underneath. And there it was. One, a single, heavy iron club. It wasn't a pillow. It wasn't stuffing. It was a real, solid piece of metal. It had just appeared. A terrifying object created right then and there by their mean-spirited joke. The curse was absolutely real. You can just hear them, right? What have we done? That's all they could think. Filled with so much fear and regret, they snatched up that awful club and just ran. They ran straight back to the king to confess what their terrible prank had unleashed. So now we see how a prophecy comes true. When the king heard what happened, the whole kingdom was gripped with fear. The king immediately gave an order. Destroy that club, grind it to dust, get rid of it. They were desperate to stop the prophecy. But, as we're about to find out, you can't always escape the consequences of your actions so easily. They tried everything they could. First, the king ordered the club to be ground into a fine powder. Step 2, they took all that dust and threw it way out into the ocean. But then, the waves just washed all that dust right back onto the shore. And here's where it gets even crazier. That iron dust grew into grass along the beach. Grass with edges as sharp as blades. And that one last tiny piece of iron that was left? A fish swallowed it. Later, a hunter named Gerard caught that fish, found the little piece of metal inside, and turned it into a deadly arrowhead. You see, the curse didn't go away. Every single bit of it was still there, just in a different form. And that brings us to the biggest mystery of all, Krishna's hidden plan. You've probably been wondering, right? Where was Lord Krishna? He's the protector. He could have stopped all of this with a snap of his fingers. Well, this is where we learn about that secret he was holding in his heart from the very beginning. Because here's the thing, Lord Krishna knew everything, the whole time. He knew about the boys' silly, disrespectful plan. He heard the curse the sages shouted. He saw the iron club appear. He knew it all. And even though he could have stopped it, he didn't. There's actually a special word for what Krishna did. It's anvamodita, and it means he gladly sanctioned it, or he allowed it to happen. Now, why would he do that? Because he saw that the boys' prank, as awful as it was actually the spark, the beginning of that bamboo fire that would teach his family the powerful lesson they needed to learn about their pride. It was the only way. And that's really the heart of the whole story, isn't it? That one small act of disrespect from the boys, it was like planting a tiny seed. And that seed of disrespect grew and grew and grew until it brought down a whole mighty kingdom. So I want to leave you with this question to think about. What does the story really teach us about the power of our own words and our own actions? Because this isn't just a story about magical clubs and ancient kingdoms, right? It's a story about you and me. It shows us that our words, even just a joke, have real power. They can build people up, or they can cause a lot of hurt. So the real question is, what kinds of seeds are you planting with your words and your actions every day?